guys, welcome back to Coming Home to Autism. Well, what a crazy few weeks we've had. We are in the middle of a lockdown. We've been isolating now for 2 weeks, which has been interesting with kids, as you can see. And I'm sure you guys are experiencing as well. It's been really hard for all our kids, but especially our kids on the spectrum. So over the next few weeks, we are going to be doing a few short videos on how we can help our children at home, because I know this is really scary, especially if you have waited so long to get occupational therapy and speech therapy, and everyone always goes on about early intervention and how important it is. Don't panic, don't worry. You are your child's best teacher and you can do this better than anyone. So we're going to get a few top tips from some specialists that I've worked with and have been recommended. And today's video, we're going to listen to Frances Johnstone, and she's going to explain to us how we can help our children on the spectrum, explain the whole coronavirus, explain washing the hands and why. And we're going to leave her link below, so please do write to her, ask her any questions, and she's going to be regularly putting up videos on her website that you can check out on things you can do at home for your children.
Hi everyone! So, what a week. There's no doubt that staying at home is the best thing that we can all do right now to keep ourselves safe, our children safe, keep the vulnerable safe, and also make sure that the NHS have the time to get ready to be able to look after those of us that will need their help. However, having our children at home, educating them at home for those of you that are, adds so many other challenges and pressures, not being able to go outside into open spaces or see friends or follow normal routines. For our children with autism spectrum disorders, children with other speech, language and communication needs or additional needs, this poses so many other challenges. The good news is there's tons of information online at the moment. So many different organisations have created resources and made them free for us to use, which is fantastic. What we want to do right now is to give you just a few ideas of some things that you can try to help support our children with 3 really important areas that they might be struggling with at the moment. So how can we support our students to understand what's happening now? How can we support them to understand about washing their hands? And how can we help them communicate with us how they might be feeling, what they might be thinking, and what's going on for them? That's our focus for the next few minutes. Number 1, how do we support our children to understand what's happening? So usually what I use to know what I'm supposed to do, where I'm supposed to be, what's expected, I use this, and I use my calendar on this. That's how I keep track of my day, of what I'm doing and when I'm doing it. Right now, neither of these are particularly helpful for me, and I feel like I want to throw them out the window. For our children who are used to set routines in the morning, set structures at school across the day, and again, fairly standard things happening at the weekend, their worlds have also been turned upside down, but they don't necessarily understand why or have the resources to be able to manage all the changes and anxieties that we are all experiencing at the same time. One of the most important things we can do is create a new structure for our children. Create routines and predictability. We know from research, we know from practical experience that children with autism and other speech, language and communication needs work best, learn best through predictability, repetition and routine. So now that means creating a new routine, a new structure for you and your family at home. And there's ways that you can help reinforce this for your children so they understand what's happening. The best thing to do is to talk to your child's class teacher about what they use at school. So a lot of your children will use visual supports to help their planning and their routine all the time. Some of your children might use something like a now and next board. Now we're reading. When that's finished, next we're going to do bubbles. Some of your children can cope with this. Some of your children just need to know what's happening now. And we can use picture symbols, drawing, written words to tell them this is what is happening now. For some of your children, they may need a bit more information, so they need much more of a structure. So for example, something like this, which can either be top to bottom or it can be right to left. where we've got breakfast, reading, choosing, cooking, lunchtime. Sounds like quite a nice morning to me. This can be a really nice way of saying to your children, look, this is what's happening today. This is not a normal day. This is what's happening today. And they can be ticked off or scored off when it's complete. You can write this out. If your children can read, you can write it out for them instead in a list. Again, talk to your class teacher. They'll be able to send you some of these resources. They're still available. The teachers are still available to help you. You can use pictures you can find online. You can use photographs, or you can draw your own pictures on a bit of paper. It doesn't matter. It doesn't have to look all nice and shiny and fantastic. The other thing that's really useful is a resource called Social Stories. And you can find quite a lot of them online at the moment about COVID-19. If you look on the National Autistic Society website, Carol Gray has one. There's one that looks like this, written by Amanda McGuinness. What is coronavirus? And what it does is it takes your children through, in very simple, straightforward terms, what the virus is, why we need to wash our hands, why schools aren't open, why we can't go out, but reassures them that there is an end to this, that schools will open again, that we will be able to go back out again, and that things will return to normal at some point. You can find this one on the autismeducator.ie, www.theautismeducator.ie. It's a really useful one. So number one's finished. Washing hands. How and why do we help our children understand the importance of washing hands? It's a really difficult balance to get because a lot of our children can quite easily get into repetitive routines around things, and we don't want washing hands to become anxiety provoking, but at the same time we want them to understand the importance, particularly right now, of washing hands. So if you've used something like a social story, which you might have to simplify for your child, or you could make it more complicated for your child depending on how much language they have. But if you've used something like a social story, then you've begun to explain to them why washing hands is important. Now, how do you help them actually wash their hands? So obviously there's clear things like showing them, which is really important, maybe providing some hand over hand support to help them learn. But there are other visual ways that can help them as well. So a really simple way is having a visual, such as this one, that you can use and you can have by your sinks. So that it's just a visual reminder for all of you how to wash your hands and how long. There's been lots of things online about songs that you can sing that last 20 seconds. You know, pick a favourite song of your child's and get it to 20 seconds so that they know, and that reinforces the routine of washing hands for them. Another thing to do is to have a sand timer that you can use, or the bipper on the oven, or there's apps on your phone that you can use that have a really visual way of showing when 20 seconds is up. But using a visual like this can just help our students and our children know, I have to turn the tap on, get the soap, wash my hands for 20 seconds, and then rinse, and then I'm finished. So if you think your child could cope with something a little bit more detailed than this, then you can go onto Google and type in NHS hand washing or coronavirus hand washing. And there are lots of posters, get it the right way up, like this one, that takes you through the different techniques. And for some children, this might be really helpful. They might quite enjoy following the pictures and looking at the different ways to make sure that you've got your hands covered. There's also so many videos online showing hand washing techniques that you can share that again provides them with extra visual information to help them understand what's required. So one of the ways that you could try to manage some of the concerns around washing our hands so repetitively and the risk that that might become more of an obsession or more of a anxiety provoking thing for your child is to actually put hand washing in the schedule. So whether you're using a timetable or a now and next with your child, put hand washing in as part of that schedule for the day. You go out to do some exercise, you come back in, you wash your hands. Before lunchtime, washing hands is on the schedule before eating. Washing hands is on the schedule before snack time. And that way, it just becomes part of the routine at sensible times across the day. Washing hands is finished. Expressing their thoughts and feelings. If only this was something that we were all better at. And at the moment, I think it's fairly safe to say that most of us are feeling more anxious, more worried, more concerned, and more unsettled than we would normally be, and that's totally understandable. For children with autism or children with other speech, language and communication needs, often talking about feelings is really difficult because feelings are such abstract concepts. Do our children even have the words they need to be able to talk about their feelings? So I suppose that's where we need to start. Do we explicitly use feeling words when we're talking to our child? Do we reinforce for them how we think they might be feeling? Do you have access to any visuals that you can use? Again, talk to your class teacher. What do they use in school to help your child communicate or at least hear and think about feeling words? So for example, a very basic feelings board might look something like this. Happy, sad, excited, worried. And just checking in with your child about how they might be feeling every now and again. And if they're happy because they get to spend more time at home, or they're excited because they're spending an awful lot of time on the iPad, brilliant. But if they're worried, maybe it gives them a chance to tell you that and for you to acknowledge it. Now, for some children, this is too much. And really all you'd be doing is looking at them and telling them how you think they feel. So you look sad. You look sad right now. I wonder why you're sad. I wonder if we can do anything to help you feel happier. And using it that way. So you're modelling to them the language that they might need further down the line. For some of our children, they might have that basic emotions vocabulary, but actually how we're feeling right now doesn't necessarily fit into nice little categories. So using something like this, again, you can Google search for emotions boards and lots come up, or ask your class teacher to send you something. But for children that have more language, this can provide them with so much more of a rich vocabulary around emotions. But it's not just enough to be able to say, I feel happy, I feel worried. We need to be able to think about strategies to help us manage our emotions. And lots of schools now are using emotions cards to help children learn to manage their emotions. So for example, here's one that says happy, and on the back there's 4 strategies that can be used when you feel happy. So for example, high five, so long as it's someone in your household, smile, talk and jump. And here we have worried. So the idea being that if your child is able to say to you, hey, I feel worried right now, that then you immediately have a list of 4 strategies that they can tell you, or they can choose which one might help them right now. So for this child, the sorts of strategies that help them when they're worried are talking to mum, taking deep breaths, sitting on the beanbag for a little while, or counting. And that helps them calm down and be a little bit less worried. The strategies will be different for different children because we all respond differently to different things. Likewise, if you feel really excited, some ideas on the bank. Trampoline, fidget toys, squeeze hands, or jumping. Or if your child tells you that they feel sad, perhaps they could have a choice of a hug, listening to some music, a good cry, or having a break. And that might help them begin to stop feeling sad and to feel a little bit more happy. So remember guys, it's not going to be easy, and I'm wishing you and your loved ones all the health in the world.
Okay guys, hope you enjoyed that video, hope you got something from it. Next week we're going to do occupational therapy, and I'm also going to be going through a few of the steps that I'm doing at home to keep sane, keeping the kids happy, and I'll also be sharing some of the things that I'm doing for Dylan. We're not doing any homework, I'm not doing any of that, we're doing life skills. And if life skills mean making it through the day, then that's good. We're learning a lot about nature and all that kind of stuff, but yeah, I'll show that in the next video. Stay well, stay safe, stay at home, stay sane. See you next week.